Hello, Hana, Soul, Dr. Nick here. And today is February 4th, 2025, the day that tariffs were supposed to start. And they've been paused for a month. These are my daily musings, not for general consumption. And there's a lot of stuff that's going to come up today. So, about tariffs, about technology, about commitment, about preparing for a call. So many things. First, I spent yesterday morning because I thought, tariffs are coming, let's actually prepare for it. What did I do? I took a look at some of the cryptocurrencies. I purchased some technology that I've been looking forward to, including these AirPods that I've got in, which I'm super excited about. Even though there's a part of me totally not excited because I want to minimize the amount of EMF, electromagnetic kind of frequency radiation that I may be exposed to near my head. And I love new toys. So the question is, how do I purchase what I really want? And the most reasonable one, so this is the one without active noise cancellation, anything else like that. I chose the base model because I thought, do I really need or want all those things? No. What do I really want? I really want a good microphone, because the number one thing is I want to be a content creator now. And not because I want to create content for someone else, so to speak, but it's so much is bubbling through me that how do I practice sharing it? And it's in the practice of sharing that I get to refine. I get to refine. So this is my refining process. And so I thought, let's get the best tools because I want the best experience. It's been that way since the beginning for me. And I'm just getting more clarity on it now. I remember when I first became a coach and a lot of phone calls, I was like, I gotta get the best headset because I want someone else to have a really good experience. I don't want just a kind of okay audio experience for someone else. And it's the same thing here. And so before the tariffs, I ordered some microphones and I ordered a stabilizer so I can hold this phone much more stably. And then I realized everything else, including there's a sale on a drone. I was like, that's not where I want to go right now. I'm not here to learn something else new that doesn't need to be me. That would be a cool toy. And at some point I look forward to more toys to play with. And I want to limit the number of things I buy because part of it is the excitement of opening something new. And how do I stagger that in life? Like if I got everything I ever could dream of and wanted all at once, it would be overwhelming. It's like watching those kids with those unboxing toy videos, and there's a part of me that can feel the hollowness after a while. It's like, okay, I'm opening another thing. It's a job now. And I'm like, oh man, I want to open these things. And I did not savor opening these headphones as much as I could have. That's part of it. It was a reminder for me. It's like, oh, the anticipation sometimes is just as good as the experience, right? And I'm so glad I went away for a few years. It wasn't just an automatic update. So many things I'm grateful for there. And then I will speak to, because we're on the things piece, I also received my new juicer yesterday from Jamma Juice, the J2. So cool. I didn't do an unboxing video because I thought there's going to be enough of those, right? And I want to unbox it with my son, and I don't want him to be in any of the videos. And then I didn't video the first run my beloved actually did, and it was so cool. Like auto magic. We've had a juicer before. Great juicer. I think it was one of the TriBest Green Star ones. So fantastic technology in terms of the actual juice, but putting each piece through, cleaning it all. We used it a few times when we were done. And it took up so much counter space, and it was heavy. And it wasn't pretty like this one is. It's a clean lines, clean looks. It felt like it was designed by someone who values the beauty of things, values functionality, and values the simplicity, and thought things through. And I'm sure there's going to be more generations of this, but so cool to see. Just putting the things together, putting the veggies in, and my son was so excited. He drank so many cups of juice, and I'm like, okay, this feels healthful. It's the beginning of this diet that I'm going to commit to one day at a time, and I'm committed to doing it in my way. We had an amazing impromptu date night, my beloved I, yesterday. We went to this delicious restaurant, Salvia Volpe. I'm so grateful for my friend Courtney and her husband Phil, who's the executive chef there, and had just the most divine tasting menu. Great servers from Simon and I think Braden and Katie and the whole team there. And all these different flavors, all these different healthful foods. And I'm so grateful that that was my last official meal out. And I'm not going to waste the tiramisu that I received. I'm going to enjoy it, enjoy some of the leftovers today, because I realized I could try to be really strict, but it's an arbitrary thing. It's an arbitrary thing. How can I avoid the thing that I'm like, oh, now it's a sacrifice? Okay, no. I do want to support this. I do want to do this fully. And I want to live life. So I'm going to live life a little bit. I'm going to enjoy some juice. I'm going to enjoy the beginnings of it, having some of these supplements that Darren has recommended for me, having some of these chlorophyll enemas, shifting out from the coffee ones, and we'll see how things go, how the energy flows. And it's so funny because it leads to the breath that's going to be happening this Sunday, which is about commitment. And I'm so grateful for my founding partner, Marika, for guiding me towards this. In the commitment lies our freedom, and the commitment of a container. And we'll be announcing soon our Ohana Sage, our newly redesigned website, looking at our 5-month, what currently we're calling the soul immersion. And that may change because I realize that's part of the process. And is that actually the benefit that people are looking for? How do we speak to our clients? But the 5-month container, that level of commitment creates a whole different kind of change than I want to do something for a day. I want to do something for a couple hours. And we're inviting that in because A, it helped that I have this son who's like, you've got limited time, make the most of it, and be willing to say what you actually want to create and can create and have the evidence of having created. And that's what I want to do. I'm looking for such amazing shifts in really a condensed period of time. Like, we overestimate what we can do in a way in 5 months, usually, and underestimate what we could do in 1,000 years. And here, with guidance, with this container of commitment, it's unimaginable what might happen in 5 months. Not just from what someone thinks they want, but where the elevation is and seeing something completely different. It's like when we first climbed Mount Fuji, my beloved and I, and realized we were above the clouds and could see the world above the clouds in that way. I was like, this is a whole new perspective on life. And it's the same thing with every single consciousness expanding experience, whether it's transcendental meditation, whether it's breath works, whether it's the psychedelic field, and being like, holy tamale, this is what the cosmos can look like. Okay, I get to shift what normal is, what I can expect. So coming back to commitment from that lens, such a beautiful word, it creates freedom. And when I looked at committing to breathing for over 1,000 days straight, like doing breath work for over 1,000 days straight, or committing to over 500 days of enemas, or even if I look at committing to 8 years of post-secondary education, medical school, residency, Bachelor of Science with honors, all these things are some of the demonstrations of commitment, what's possible, what the learning is possible, what the degrees are possible. And then, because I've been working with Dr. Alana DeMartini, seeing the balance of everything. Everything that we think is truly just good, we can take a look at some of the downsides of it too. Oh, with that level of commitment to medical school, for example, sometimes I'm like, oh my God, what could I have done with all those years? The commitment to gymnastics even, all these things I did when I was younger. And then I realized what I was really committed to is the approval of others, especially my father, my parents, father figures, authorities, people that I deemed above me, beyond me, who knew better than me. And then I didn't know who I was. And then here's the trickiest thing, listening to Tony Robbins, he's like, you're really committed to your identity, every single one of us. Even right now, my identity of having the blue blockers, having the poncho on, speaking this way, having these insights, using this language. And identity both serves grounding force, feels rooted, people have something familiar to return to, and also so constraining. Oh, what if, for example, someone comes up to me, it's like, oh my God, you figured it out. I'd be like, no, that's not me. Right away, instead of being curious, going, what have I figured out? And noticing that commitment to the old identity or that structure of identity may not be serving me. And it's so funny to notice this. And notice how many times I've shifted my identity now. It's almost better. I tell people now, I've lived a lifetime since I've last seen you, because there's some truth to that. By letting go of the identities over and over again, oh my God, I'm living lifetimes. I'm living a whole new life. I can even look back. I had a picture this pop up on this iPhone of 2016. We were in Vietnam, my beloved and I, traveling and having a great time. Chinese New Year there, or New Year's there, Lunar New Year's there, and all these different foods in Hoi An, and we're up north in Hanoi, and noticing my face, it looked completely different. Way more in my way, almost Chinese. Now it's almost more balanced. It's more angular. And recognizing it's almost like as I'm shedding all these layers, my whole beingness, physicality is even shifting. I've lost over 30 pounds since then. Crazy. Commitment. And then noticing, like, the words commitment, the biggest thing that comes to mind usually for me is, oh, I committed to being married. And then the commitment that I didn't quote unquote choose, because we didn't choose to have Sage, and part of our souls knew that. And in that inconvenience, that commitment, it's funny, I loved hearing someone say, having a child's inconvenient. It's super inconvenient. And I'm so committed. Like, he's showing me what level of commitment I have. It's like, I can be tired. I can be just about to start my enema at 3-something a.m. and I heard him cry. I was like, all right, I'm going to go back in. I'm so committed. It was like, I hate you, Dad. I don't want you. It's like, cool. I'm just here. And it doesn't mean I'm right or I'm wrong. That's just where I'm at. And then noticing even my level of commitment. There's a whole nother layer. My beloved's level of commitment to him and his well-being and his happiness and his joy, exponentially higher than mine if I want to look from my lens. It doesn't mean I'm right. Even noticing the commitment of someone else, especially those who I love dearly, their commitment to their identity, how they might judge themselves, see themselves. And then noticing, I used to be like, stop doing that. Not realizing I did the same thing when I put myself down. And they're like, I don't want to see you put yourself down. It actually hurts me too. And so now I just have compassion and gently try to remind with firmness and kindness, I don't see you that way. I see you as beautiful. I see this as an amazing experience, even though you feel it's been really shitty. And that's okay. I'm committed to my sense of self instead of trying to say the same thing as you for your approval, for your appeasement, to try not to rock things. And that's the thing now. It's much easier to be committed to what I know, what I see, what I know I can get approval for, what everyone else has been able to see before, than to be committed to an unknown, uncertain, unknowable future through the outer reality. But maybe I've already seen it in my mind's eye or know it, or just have this gnosis. For me, it's always been a knowing almost, and then just going ahead with it. And I can see it's like the people that flew the first airplanes, built the first skyscrapers. They were committed to something that no one else could see, but they were so committed that they actually manifest everything together. And that's part of what I see for the work I'm doing in this lifetime and the legacy I'm leaving beyond this. Whether it's breaking some of the death habits, whether it is awakening the inner sage, the inner consciousness, whether it's being able to both be really big and really humble at the same time, knowing everything and knowing nothing, and not trying to deny it, not the false humility, not trying to deny the money and the resources that want to flow this way so we can do more together, better together, or even less together. Part of it is people always laugh, and for me, I laugh too. I can sleep anywhere. Like Siddhartha, I can think, I can wait, and I can fast. I can rest. I'm good sometimes at doing nothing. And I remind others, can you just sit back and do nothing? Like when I've got a cat lying in me, that's my work. When I've got a sleeping child in me, that's my work. Not trying to think, how do I plan the next thing and the next thing and the next thing? I make space for other people to do things. And better now, I've got a founding team who's helped me see what is my genius. And coming back to identity then, where am I a genius in my identity? And where am I genius by not trying to stay committed to that version of my identity? Oh, romantically, sometimes I'm a teenage boy. How am I committed to that viewpoint of myself still, instead of saying, okay, if I'm anything but that, now what? Where do I want to play? What do I want to learn? How do I want to experiment? If that hasn't been working for the past decades, then maybe anything else is worth a shot. Commitment. And I'm preparing right now because I have a call coming up with Alana DeMartini. I'm looking really forward to it. And there's a part of me's like, is she going to cancel again? Because she's had to for a couple times. And part of me's like, what do I ask? How do I make this really impactful? Oh, I think I might want to have her teacher as a teacher or mentor. How do I make sure of that? How do I be with my own nervousness? How do I be with my own insecurities? How do I be? What are the right questions? And that's part of me. How do I get the approval of someone else? I'm so committed. And can I prepare? And this video today is part of the preparation, instead of trying to only anticipate and to stay one step ahead and to get it right and get approval and get the result that I want. Because part of this life, actually, maybe all of this life is just experiencing this moment. This moment, next moment, next moment. If I am speaking, part of it's because I'm committed to being alive. And if you're listening, you have had such a commitment to being alive as well. Because that's the thing. I've had many possible exit points. And I remind myself and others, you have had as well. And as I look at my 4-year-old, he had that on the very first day of his life, not breathing. And so many of us have these exit points, right? We could have run into the road. We could have taken the wrong food. We could have choked on something. Over and over again, it's funny. And I can understand it too. Oh, don't do this, you might choke. You might. And it's that edge of choking, not choking, that's so important. It's that edge of breathing, not breathing. It's that edge of walking and falling. Walking is just falling over and over again and catching yourself. Catching yourself in a way where you're not actually harming yourself either. Because that's just, if you don't learn how to walk properly, you could be hurting your joints over and over again and have premature wear. And part of it, sometimes when people see my son fall, I'm like, I'm so glad I taught him how to fall well. And when they're watching him hit me, like, oh my God, he's really hitting me. It's like, yeah, he is. Both because I want him to learn how to hit, and both because I am getting practice to get him being hit, because I wasn't hit much as a kid. Like, I mean, I'm not trying to say my parents hit me, but it was almost like we were being really gentle. And I realized these days we're saying gentle, gentle, gentle over again. Instead of inviting, and this is my viewpoint, this isn't the right viewpoint, inviting the children to see what they're up to, what it is that they're doing, what the impact is. And that's what I want them to see in me. It's like, when you are careful before you hit me, not in the head, not in the groin, hopefully, and I am aware of it, the impact you have is much less than what it's not. And what do you really want? Are you trying to hurt daddy? Or are you trying to express something that wants to be expressed? And from the expression standpoint, fantastic. If you're trying to hurt me, notice why. Notice what's there. And I'm shifting a lot from the questions of how and why to what. Just getting more clear on what is. What are my values? What are my strengths? What are my weaknesses? What is my identity? What? The why, and I've said this before, everything after the question why, or everything that's after because, is just a story. And the addiction to the story. Oh, I had and have been and am addicted to so many of my own internal stories, internal narratives. It's almost easier for me to be around people who are feeling weak and hurt and small than if they're feeling too strong, in my eyes, or too forceful or too clear or too direct. What is that about? What's the benefit of that? What's the downside of that? Part of the downside, this word this year, funny enough, is clarity. And so I am actually experiencing my life being surrounded by more people who are super clear. And when they're super clear, it can feel really confronting. They can ask a question in 4 words that feels way harder to be with than a question that takes a paragraph. because it feels like, what does that mean? It feels like it cuts like a knife. And then I recognize that's just the story that I've had. Okay, take a breath, reply, and reply from me, not from trying to please someone else. Reply from curiosity. What would you like to hear? What is it that you're curious about? What will this provide you? This is the year I also intend to start the podcasting for reals. For reals. I was going to do it 2 years ago, invited it 2 years ago, or actually even like 3 years ago, 4 years ago when I was with Intronaut. And then definitely when I was in Fit for Service year. And then definitely the year after. And now I'm like, okay, how do I start just recording? Don't even think about the publishing piece yet. Just record. And then how do I actually start just talking to people I want questions and answers from? Part of it is going to be even Elena. Hey, can we do a podcast together? I want to ask you questions. I want to learn. I want to record. Part of it will be John DeMartini. Part of it will be my other teachers. Part of it will be people I worked with and I'm working with right now. Marika and Matt. And so many Matts in my life. There's so many Matts. How do I sit down and have a chat and just a conversation and just, again, another level of practice, of connection. People I'd want to spend time with anyways. People I'd want to spend time with anyways. That's the key. I'm not doing this for everyone else first. I'm doing it for me. That's part of the reason for creating these videos and the commitment to myself. I'm going to do this till February 14th. How do I actually do something for me and just put it in the public space? And then as I do this more, part of it is flooding. If I flood the internet with me, there's no one that's going to be able to ever keep up with all the stuff I'm flooding it with, unless somehow you're going to get ahead of me. You're going to watch me more than I create, which is going to be hilarious because is your whole life about listening to me? No. And if you make it about that, well, hopefully you get something out of it. And there's a part of the, you want to call it the narcissistic, self-promoting self. It's like, well, if they watch so much stuff. It's like imagining Tony Robbins for the past 4 days, 3 hours each day, 1 million people. 3 million hours since for 12 million hours of attention. 12 million hours divided by 24. Okay, that's 5,500,000. 500,000 days. Divide by 12. 500,000 divided by 12. 50,000. 40,000. 40,000. 40,000 months. I'm going wrong here. No. 500,000 divided by 30. 16,000 months. Divided by 12. Over 1,000 years. 1,500 years, almost 1,500 years of collective time. 1,500 years, that's 15 lifetimes. In 4 days, he's provided 15 lifetimes of his own value in a way. Because I do believe that whoever actually attended will have retained value from it. Wow. Wow. And I've often looked at it that way. It's the same reason how I looked at, I could either take this test in university or spend this time being the manager of my cheerleading team. And who am I going to impact? Right? The test only affect me. And right now, choosing to work with individuals who will have an effect on others and letting that magnify that way too. So looking at how things magnify in both ways. And then also when I look at it outwards, look at it inwards, how many people did it take for me to become me? Having all this stuff around me, having even this building, how many people worked on this, built this, sweat, equity. And it's interesting if we look at it that way, and then we can dissect the reality of this world. How many people are focused on money? It's like, that's literally just a number. Number goes up, feel happy. Number goes down, feel bad. versus look around them at the abundance that's there, at the magnificence that's there. I'm not in some place where I'm being tortured, where I can't be myself, where I can't be free. And also recognize when people are doing that thing, it's like, I'm not trying to take away your freedoms, but you can't go anywhere unless you got the slip of paper that says this thing. You lose your job. We're coming after what helps you feel safe. Oh, so many things that are out there, so many games upon games upon games. And it's so much fun to muse as well. So much fun to muse. And I look forward to creating more clarity with all this. Inviting and allowing all this, because that's the piece I looked at today. I'm like, how do I actually start noodling? How do I start considering? How do I start contemplating more? And then from that contemplation, see something else. It's like listening to Tony Robbins yesterday, like, how to change state. And he's like, even changing words. For me, it's changing when I'm feeling really constricted, trapped, overwhelmed. I'm like, oh, that's impossible. I'm like, I'm possuming. That's all I'm doing is I'm possuming. I'm playing dead right now. And do I want to do that? Can I navigate a way where I can even switch to playing alive in a different way, just to try something different? And I realized the word triggered. Oh, I'm so triggered. Oh, I'm tickled. I'm getting tickled. And I can remember those times where I was tickled and I was overwhelmed. Totally. I'm so tickled right now. How do I change some of this language? And I realized I took on some of the stuff, like in Notting Hill. Whoopsie daisy. I say that all the time, and my son says that now too. And I'm like, it makes it more whimsical, because that's this life. It's whimsical. I take it very seriously at times. And I know others do too. And it's just whimsical. Thank you for this whimsical life. Thank you for the fire. Thank you for the transmutation. Thank you for the fire that burns inside me. Thank you for the water. Thank you for the air. Thank you for the earth. Thank you for knowing that the ether and the ability to change things can happen in an instant. Thank you for being able to stand up more fully in this almost power posture. Thank you for noticing my shoulders and the pain and the tightness. Thank you for this technology. Thank you for the ability to record like this and share it so widely. I was listening to Tony talk about VHS tapes and putting things in and helping Andre Agassi his different states and his different words and his different thoughts and seeing his thoughts. It's like, what did this pose mean? It's like, you shouldn't even have showed up today. I was like, so cool to be able to see what the head said. And I can see that sometimes. When I'm so clear, it's like, this is just going to work. This just is. And I look forward to reminding myself of that as I'm being with Alana today, just being present. That's my word today. Present. 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 Present and curious. Present and curious. So my main priority today is having this chat with Alana. That's the external one for work, for everything else. Aside from that, driving my son to school. I can't wait to take him to school and make that a priority. And then after that, I've got a call with the founders tonight. And the fourth thing is supporting my beloved, because she's got some work to do today. And then after that, there's a few other things. So, a lot of love. Ciao for now.